Saral Japani, Japanese learning made easy. Konnichiwa minasan. Hey friends, how are you? Welcome to Saral Japani YouTube channel. This is a place where we talk about Japan and we learn the Japanese language. This is the series called Japanese Lessons for Beginners, and today we are at lesson 120. Today we are going to learn a very important concept, the concept of uchi and soto, and we will extend this concept to the verbs ageru versus sashiageru and morau versus itadaku. So let's see what we have today. Concepts of uchi and soto. So politeness in Japanese culture is a very important aspect of the culture. We require a different level of politeness when talking to a different set of people, and this forms a very important aspect of the Japanese language as well. It is deep rooted in the society, in the language, in the culture, and it shapes how people choose words depending on social relationships. So what does that mean? That means we may have to use a different verb altogether when we want to say something to a to someone, and at the same time the same sentence or the same expression we can give to another person with a different choice of verb. So the concept of uchi and soto will determine which verb is to be used or may be used. Unlike English, where politeness often comes from tone or added phrases, Japanese relies on keigo. Keigo is a Japanese word which means polite or honorific speech to adjust the level of respect. A central idea behind this is the group system, which distinguishes one's own group, that is, one's uchi, which means inside group, and soto, which means outside group. So, uchi and soto, basically are these forms the group system, and uchi means someone who is inside your group, and soto means someone who belongs to the outside group. Now, what is inside group and what is outside group? Let's look into that. The inside group usually includes family, colleagues, or classmates, or friends in general, while the outside group refers to people beyond that circle, such as clients, teachers, or strangers. Importantly, this boundary is fluid, that is, it is flexible and it may shift depending on who you are speaking to. That means, what is the actual relation between you and that person. So, depending on the relationship, someone may be inside your group, but for another person, the same type of person may be outside his group. So, it all will depend on how personal the relation is, how formal or informal the relation is. So that's why it is called, this boundary is fluid and it shifts depending on who you are speaking to. When addressing someone in the outside group, the speaker lowers their own position and raises the other person's position by using a different choice of verbs than normal. So this is an extremely important statement, that when you are talking to or you are addressing someone from the outside group, for example a teacher or a stranger, if you are addressing to someone from your outside group, then you have to lower your position. That means you have to think yourself at a lower position than that person, and you have to raise that other person's position. That means you have to become more humble in addressing that person. This dynamic balancing act of uchi and soto is what gives Japanese politeness its distinctive character. Verb ageru becomes sashiageru and morau becomes itadaku to implement extra politeness when the speaker is talking to or about someone from the outside group. Now friends, ageru and morau. So if you have not gone through our previous lessons, previous last but one lesson, then you may not be knowing about these two verbs. So I would humbly request you to watch the video of lesson 118 so that you know what is ageru and what is morau. So ageru means to give someone or to raise someone's position, and morau means to receive something from someone. And sashiageru is the extra polite version of ageru, and itadaku is the extra polite version of morau. Now we will look into sashiageru and itadaku in this lesson. Ageru and morau we have already discussed in lesson 118. So again, please refer to that lesson to understand in detail what does ageru and morau mean. Today we will focus on sashiageru and itadaku. So, sashiageru and itadaku are used to implement extra politeness when the speaker is talking to or about someone from the outside group. Let's now try to understand the concepts of uchi and soto in context of these four verbs. That means ageru, sashiageru, morau, and itadaku. So we begin with the verb ageru. So this is the stem or the base verb ageru, from where we get agerimas and so on. It literally means to raise, to lift up, or to give. That means it's an upward directions because you are lowering your position, you are giving something to someone. So that is upward movement. So this also means to give. In the context of giving, it's neutral politeness used when you give something to someone else or when someone lower or the same level gives something to another person. That means the politeness level is neutral. This is not impolite at all. So be clear about that. It's not that ageru is impolite and sashiageru is polite. No, both are polite. So ageru is polite, it is neutral polite, and sashiageru is extra polite. So in the context of giving, ageru is neutral politeness used when you give something to someone else or someone lower or same level gives something to another person. For example, as you can see here, watashi wa tomodachi ni hon o agemashita. See, you should be able to read now because we are at lesson 120. So it's high time that you should be able to read simple sentences, be it kanji or hiragana or katakana. Watashi wa tomodachi ni hon o agemashita. I gave my friend a book. Now adding sashi, it becomes sashiageru. Now, sashiageru is formed by the combination of two verbs. Although it is a single verb, but it is actually the combination of two verbs. One is sas, sas. As you can see here, it's sas. From sas, it becomes sashiageru when we conjugate the two verbs. Sas means to extend or to offer forward or to present. When prefixed with ageru, when prefixed to ageru, it adds the nuance of formally presenting something upward or outward to a superior. So sashi ageru means to humbly give or to humbly offer upward. That means it gives the same meaning as ageru. Sashi ageru is the same meaning as ageru, but it adds a different level of humility. That means you are very, very humble. So to offer something to someone. And this is what makes it Kenjogo. Kenjogo means humble language in Japanese. You lower yourself while raising up the other person. The humility is encoded in sashi. So, to summarize, ageru means to give, which is neutral, polite, and sashi ageru means humbly offer or present something to someone. It is respectful to the receiver. The sashi adds the nuance of extending something forward with humility, which upgrades the politeness level. So it's clear, friends. I hope it's clear. It's very, very simple and easy to understand. So the literal politeness shift, ageru is I give or upward. It is neutral polite, and sashi ageru means I humbly extend upward or humble respectful, which is humble and respectful towards the receiver. So the sashi makes the action not just giving but formally presenting with deference. Now let's see some example contrast. So the first sentence is here, it will use agemas, and the other one is sashi agemas. So agemas we see shine ga doryo ni shirio o agemasu. Shain ga doryo ni shirio o agemasu. That means an employee gives materials to a colleague. Now, this is normal, polite, but neutral. But when we use it as sashiagemas, then let's see one example. Shain ga bucho ni shirio o sashiagemas. An employee humbly presents materials to the manager. So now in the first sentence, it was employee and his colleague. So both were in the same group, you can say. So it's uchi in the uchi. So that's why it's agemas. Now, when employee presents something to his manager, the manager is not in his uchi, but in his soto. That's why it becomes sashiagemas. So shain ga bucho ni shirio o sashiagemas, because now it is extra formal, because the manager is not inside his group, that is not inside his uchi. But suppose the employee has a very very informal relation, because the manager is very close to him due to xyz reasons, and he is considered to be within his group, then he can use agemas. So as I said in the beginning, it all depends on the personal relation, and it may differ from person to person. Next is morau. So last time in lesson 118, we saw that morau means to receive something or to get something. The subject gets something. In that case, we use morau. That is moraimas or moraimashita. It is again just like agemas. It is neutral, polite, and not inherently humble or honorific. But it is not impolite at the same time. It is used when you receive something from someone regardless of their status, but it's a plain, normal receiving verb. For example, you can see here, Tomodachi kara purezentu o moraimashita. I got a present from my friend. Now, when uh, it becomes soto, that means you are receiving something from outside your group. So, morau, this was from within your group, because it's from a friend, so he is considered to be inside the group. So this is uchi. And outside the group is when you receive something from someone outside of your group, then it becomes itadaku, which is extra polite. So the literal meaning is to take or receive from above. That means someone who is at a higher level than you, position than you. So to take from the top or to put on one's head. So this is the literal meaning basically. It's not the actual meaning. The literal meaning of itadaku is to take, receive from above, to take from the top, to put on one's head. So you might remember, friends, itadaku, itadakimasu. Do you remember we had learned this word in the form of an expression when we were doing expressions? We used this one, we learned this one, and we saw that people in Japan, before starting the meal, that is starting to eat, they pray to the god and say itadakimasu. That means I humbly receive what you have given me, the food. I humbly receive this food. Or in other words, it means thank you God for the food that you have provided me this time. So itadaku means to lowering your head and taking something respectfully from a superior. This creates kenjoku. Again, it's a humble language, and you humble yourself when describing what you receive. It is used when receiving things from someone of higher status, or when talking modestly about your own action. So again, similar examples which we saw last time. Bucho kara adobaisu. This means advice. This advice word, it is written in katakana because it is an English word. So adobaisu o itadakimashita. That means I humbly received advice from the manager. Bucho kara advice o itadakimashita. And similarly, we can say shokuji o itadakimasu. That means I humbly received this food. So this is the same as itadakimasu. So in short, people say itadakimasu. Shokuji o, this is the complete sentence. Otherwise, itadakimasu is the general expression which people use before starting to eat. So this is itadaku, itadakimasu. So you have seen now. Now To summarize, literal politeness shift, morau is to receive, which is neutral polite, and itadaku is to humbly receive from above, which is respectful towards the giver. So whoever is giving you something, you are highly respectful towards that giver, and so you are using itadaku or itadakimasu or itadakimashita in place of morau, moraimasu or moraimashita. So just like sashiageru added the nuance of extending upward with humility, itadaku adds the nuance of bowing down and receiving respectfully. That means when you use sashiageru, you extend your hands upwards with humility. That is, you are offering someone with high respect. And when using itadaku, you add the nuance of bowing down. You lower your head, you lower yourself down and receive something respectfully. So this is a very, very important aspect of the Japanese culture, not only the language, but the culture itself. And contrast examples, again, the same thing. Tomodachi kara hon o moratta. So see, here we are not using moraimashita. We are using the informal past tense of morau, which is moratta. I got a book from my friend. Tomodachi kara hon o moratta. And if we make it humble, then it becomes sensei kara hon o itadakimashita. So the same thing, you are receiving the same thing as is being received by you, the book, but first it was from your very close friend and you used moratta, and next time you were receiving it from your respected teacher, so it became itadakimashita. So tomodachi kara hon o moratta, sensei kara hon o itadakimashita. To summarize, morau means to receive, plain neutral, and itadaku means to humbly receive. Politeness comes from the taking from above imagery. So this is the difference between ageru and sashiageru and morau and itadaku with respect to the group system, uchi and soto. That means whether the other person is inside your group, that is inside the uchi, or outside your group, or that is in the soto. The choice between ageru, morau, and sashiageru itadaku does depend on the social relation between speaker, listener, and the people being talked about. Japanese does not have an absolute always use polite forms with teachers rule. It's about how you position yourself relative to the other person in that specific context. So relation shapes the verb choice. If you feel close to your sensei, that is your teacher, perhaps a friendly, informal teacher or a mentor who treats you casually, you might naturally say ageru or morau. You need not use sashi ageru or itadaku. If your friend feels more distance and wants to show deference, they will likely use sashi ageru or itadaku. So yes, two students could describe the same teacher differently. For example, you are saying Sensei kara hon o agemashita. I gave a book to sensei. It is neutral because you are comfortable with this teacher. But your friend, he says, Sensei ni hon o sashi agemashita. I humbly offered a book to sensei. It is more formal and humble because they want to emphasize respect. Because maybe your friend is not that comfortable and not that informal to the sensei. Both are grammatically correct. The difference is tone and social positioning. Extremely important thing, friends. So now the triangle rule in Keigo. Keigo means the humble or polite honorific language. Keigo choices depend on a triangle relationship. So the three corners of the triangle are you, the speaker, the listener who you are talking to, and the third person, that is the one you are giving or receiving with. If you are talking to your sensei directly, you usually humble yourself and use sashiageru or itadaku. If you are talking to a friend about the sensei, it depends. If you want to stress respect, you can use sashiageru and itadaku. And if you are casual with your friend, then you can use ageru and morau. It is fine. So using ageru or morau doesn't mean that you are showing disrespect to the sensei, to the person you are talking about. So you have to be clear on this. Practical example. Let's say you got a book from your sensei to a close friend, informal talk. So you can say, Sensei kara hon o moratta. I got a book from sensei. So you are talking to a close friend, but you are talking about the teacher, but still you can use moratta in this case. And if you are talking to your sensei directly, that I humbly received a book from you, that is watashi wa hon o itadakimashita, then you will say watashi wa sensei kara hon o itadakimashita. This is the complete sentence, but you need not say the complete sentence. You can just say hon o itadakimashita. It indicates it's indicative that you are referring to the sensei whom you are talking to. So hon o itadakimashita, I humbly received a book from you. And the third example is you are saying to your boss about your sensei. So showing respect because sensei is outside the group. So sensei kara hon o itadakimashita. So your boss and your sensei both are outside the group. You are using itadakimashita. So again, it will depend on the type of relation you have with your boss. Now, uchi versus soto, in group versus out group. Let's summarize what we just learned. Uchi means inside, people you identify with at the moment of speaking. Examples, your family, your company, your school, sometimes even close friends. And soto, outside, is people outside that circle. For example, a client, your professor, if talking to someone outside school, or a stranger. The group is not fixed forever, which is very important to note, and it changes depending on who you are talking to. Why this matters for Keigo? That means why this Uchi Soto system or why this group system matters for Keigo. When talking to an outsider, you lower your in-group and raise the outsider. That means you bring down, you make your position even lower to give more respect to the outsider. And when talking inside the group, you don't need to humble your own group members. You don't show disrespect also, you don't be impolite also, but there is no extra politeness. That means it's a neutral thing. That's why the same person, say your professor, might be treated differently depending on the context. Talking about your sensei, imagine your classmate and your sensei. Talking to your classmate, same in group, both students, you can be casual. Sensei kara hono moratta. I got a book from Sensei. Here, Sensei is a respected figure, but since you are chatting with a peer, you don't have to humble yourself. Okay, so the language, the the humility is depends on whom you are talking to, not about whom you are talking to or about whom you are talking. Case B is talking to your sensei directly. Here you can say hon o itadakimashita. Now you use humble form because sensei is the other and higher. And case C is talking to your boss at work about your sensei. Here your company, uchi, is your boss plus you. So you and your boss both belong to the same group. And your sensei is an outsider, soto. So you also humble yourself towards sensei when reporting sensei kara hon o itadakimashita because you are showing respect outward. Visual metaphor. Think of it like this. Inside or uchi, we all stand on the same floor. Outside or soto, when talking to them, you either raise them up, kudasaru or sashiageru, or you lower yourself, itadaku. Who is inside versus who is outside depends on the conversation partner. Depending on the person whom you are talking to, you will adjust the level of politeness. So nothing is fixed, nothing is permanent. It all depends on the relationships you have with the person you are talking to and the person you are talking about. So group basically means who are you aligned with at this moment. If the person is your in group, you don't need fancy keigo when talking within. If you are talking outward, you make your in group humble and the outsider elevated. So now it's time for a kaiwa. Kaiwa means conversation in Japanese. So friends, since we are at lesson 120, so I expect that you do not need Romaji anymore to read simple Japanese sentences. So I have not used Romaji this time and it's all in hiragana, katakana and kanji, but these are very simple kanjis which we have already covered in our kanji lesson. So You should be able to read this. But if you are still unable to read, I will help you out and I will read these sentences slowly. Let's see. First, I will read the entire conversation and we will see how much you can see, how much you can understand. And after that, I will explain each sentence line by line. So this is a conversation between two persons, as you can see here. This is one person and this is one person, and these two names are repeating continuously. So this is Ichiro. Ichiro, and this is Momoko. Ichiro is a male first name in Japanese and Momoko is a female first name in Japanese. So Ichiro and Momoko, Ichiro-san and Momoko-san are having a conversation. Ichiro, Momoko-san, takai tokei desu ne. Dare ni moraimashita ka? Momoko, お兄さんの友達にいただきました。一郎、誕生日のプレゼントですか？桃子、いえ、お兄さんの友達からのお土産です。一郎、いいね。あなたはお兄さんの友達に何をあげますか？桃子、そうですね。何をあげましょうか？一郎、日本の人形はどうですか？Momoko, いいね, arigato. So friends, this is the conversation and I hope you have, if not everything, but you must have understood at least some of it or maybe a major part of it. So now let's see what it is all about. Ichiro says, Momoko-san, takai tokei desu ne. Takai is an adjective. We have already learned this one, which means expensive. And toki in the vocabulary we have done, which is watch. So that means it's an expensive watch. He says to Momoko-san that takai tokei desu ne. It's an expensive watch. It must be an expensive watch that you are wearing. Dare ni moraimashita ka? From whom you received this? Moraimashita. See, moraimashita. This is the past tense of morau. So moraimashita ka. From whom did you receive it? So this is the verb to receive something. So dare ni moraimashita ka. From whom did you receive it? Momoko-san says, Oni-san no tomodachi. Means Oni-san means elder brother. That is the one of the friends of my elder brother ni itadakimashita. See, so although the question was moraimashita ka, the answer is in itadakimashita. That means Momoko-san is raising the status of her elder brother's friend because he is outside the group of Momoko-san. So Oni-san's tomodachi may be inside the group of Oni-san, but he is not inside the group of Momoko. He is in the outside group. That is, he is in soto, not in uchi of Momoko. So that's why Momoko is using itadakimashita and not moraimashita. She could have used moraimashita had this friend of her elder brother been inside her circle. So, Oni-san no tomodachi ni itadakimashita. Ichiro, tanjobi no presento desu ka? Tanjobi no presento means, was it a is it a gift on your birthday? Is it a birthday gift? That means you had birthday recently, so is it for that? Momoko-san says, Ie, no. Oni-san no tanjobi kara no omiyage desu. Oni-san no tanjobi, so my elder brother's friend, kara means from, you already know. Omiyage, omiyage means a souvenir. So we will discuss omiyage. It's more than a souvenir, so it has some specific meaning in Japanese culture. So in one of our near future lessons, we will discuss in detail about omiyage. For now, just remember that it's a souvenir. That means it is not a birthday gift, but it's a souvenir from my elder brother's friend. So probably he went somewhere and he brought that souvenir for her. Now, Oni-san no tomodachi kara, you can see here an additional no particle here. Because we could have also written Oni-san no tomodachi kara omiyage desu. So that is also correct. But adding an extra no makes the language little more polished and formal. Otherwise, tomodachi kara omiyage desu means the statement is not very formal. So otherwise there is no extra meaning of this no particle here. So Tanjobi no presento desu ka is it a birthday present? Ie oni-san no tomodachi kara no omiyage desu. No, it's a souvenir from my elder brother's friend. Then Ichiro says, Ine. That means great. Ine, great. Anata wa oni-san no tomodachi ni nani o agemasu ka? That means, what will you give? Now this is give. It was receive, it's now give. So nani means what? Now what will you give to your oni-san's tomodachi? Then Momoko-san says, so desu ne. That means you are right or I agree. That means I agree that I should also give something to him. So, so desu ne. That means I agree that that's right. That's right. Nani o agemashou ka? Now, masho form. So this also we have learned earlier in one of our grammar lessons. Masho means what shall I? Masho ka means what shall I? That means you suggest. Please suggest what should I give. Nani o agemashou ka means what should I give or what shall I give. So you are right, but what shall I give? So Ichiro says, Nihon no ningyo. Nihon no ningyo means Japanese doll. Ningyo means a doll. So doll of Japan. Nihon no ningyo wa do desu ka? Again, do desu ka we have learned earlier means how about. How about giving a Japanese doll? Nihon no ningyo wa do desu ka? Ii ne, that's great. Arigato, thank you. That means thank you for giving this suggestion to give a Nihon no ningyo. That means a Japanese doll. So this is the basic conversation through which we saw the use of moraimashita, itadakimashita, omiyage, agemasu ka, agemashou ka, do desu ka. So we just did a recap of ine, so desu ne, ine, and some other grammatical words. So I hope this lesson has been useful to you. So we have completed 120 lessons. Those of you who have recently joined this channel, I would recommend you to begin from the first video if you are new to Japanese and learn all of these concepts in serial order, because this course has been designed in this serial order in the same manner in which one should learn Japanese language from zero, so that you can learn step by step in the correct order and correct in an organized manner. So that's all friends for today. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not yet subscribed to. If you have any doubts or any questions about this video, please comment on this video. And if you want to keep it a private conversation, you can send me an email at saraljapani@gmail.com. I will wait for your email on this email ID. And till we meet again, thank you so much for watching this video. ありがとうございます。また会いましょう。